In this video, I will be reviewing this pen from Benu. This is the Tribute model, and this one is, in particular, is the Darwin edition. This is a really interesting and, in my opinion, very, very beautiful pen, and I'm excited to show it to you today. A big thank you to Benu for their continued support of my channel by providing pens like this for me to show you. So please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, and please consider joining my channel as a member, where for a small monthly fee, you'll get priority comments, early access to my videos, members only content, such as on unboxings and first impressions, those kinds of things. And once the community's grown a bit, we'll start doing some members only Q&As. But in the meantime, let's check out this very, very cool pen from Benu. So here we are with the packaging of the Benu Tribute Darwin edition. This is a nice new simple packaging for their sort of premium pens. It sits in the little base of it there. It's very nice. It came beautifully packaged, and as you can see, that pen up close is absolutely gorgeous. We'll cover the parts and features of that in a little bit. In the top of the box, you get a little bit of sort of information and the long cartridge in there. It also came with the converter, which is currently in the pen. Let's talk about this really interesting pen. So on the Benu website, they describe how this is a tribute to Darwin. They say things like the khaki green base and the warm golden shimmer, and it's a very nice sort of rosy gold sort of shimmer, are designed to sort of represent things like moss-covered rocks and, you know, the sunlit leaves and the well-worn leather journals, how the smallest details can shape the grandest ideas. Nice idea. So it's got this sort of like khaki, they call it khaki green, I call it more a teal, sort of pearlescent material. The golden shimmer, there's like this streak of like burgundy through there as well. And then the, you know, the translucent sort of ambery sort of material or tobacco colored material that I really, really enjoy. It's also got the gold trim, the name there. So let's talk about parts and features. Top of the pen, it's got this little like dimpled finial there, and then sort of the little beveled edge. The cap gently tapers down. It's got this gold colored clip band with a nice sort of springy clip on it. That beautiful material. Now, I don't know if the camera will pick it up very well, but there are facets in that material, or flutes I think they're called, all the way down there, which is really nice. Get another golden cap band, and then the amber material there again with Benu in it, and then that tapers ever so slightly down onto the barrel, and the barrel tapers. It's that beautiful resin material, and then we just get a simple sort of semi-rounded polished end there. It is a twist cap, and it comes off in about 2 3/4 turns, which is not insignificant, but not unusual for Benu. But I have to say, these are some of like it's a silly thing, but I call them warm threads, where it doesn't feel like you're sort of crunching against anything or banging against anything. It just sits beautifully on those threads and just subtly and beautifully glides into place. It's very, very nice. Removing the cap, there's a very minimal, very, very minimal step down with a little gold band, and then this amber material for the section. The threads are nice and sort of squared off, so they're not sharp at all. And then the section tapers quite a lot, a little flare on the end, and then a number 6 size Schmidt nib. I have it here in a medium. When I jumped on the Benu website recently, there was fine, medium, elastic fine, 1.1, 1.5, and broad nibs. And then the gold nibs, obviously at extra cost. But I have seen this same nib unit with extra fine and things like that as well. It's just a standard Schmidt nib unit. So if you've got other Benu pens with the number 6 size nib, particularly if you want the matching gold trim, you can easily sort of screw that out and place it on. Unscrewing that, you get the barrel there. Oh gosh, really running low on ink. Hopefully I've got enough for the review. I didn't realize it was this low on ink. I've been using this pen quite a lot. I really enjoy it. But it does come with the standard Schmidt International converter here, which is really, really great. Once again, beautifully cut, smooth threads. Really, really appreciate that. It's such a nice sort of touch. There's a gentle weight to this pen that feels great in the hand. It's a nice size. It's not oversized, but it's definitely not a small pen. And, you know, like obviously, you know, in the pen case, it's quite a large pen. It's got a nice chunky diameter, particularly there at the top. You know, and that sort of gentle taper the entire way down the pen is really nice. The Tribute model does post, and it posts quite securely and relatively deeply. It does make quite a long pen, but it also, there's quite a lot of weight in the pen's cap. Like, I'll come back to this in a little bit, but like, half the pen's weight is in the cap of this pen, and a lot of that is at the very end there, and so you do definitely feel the weight there, but there's nothing sort of rough or anything on your hand. It's a big pen. If you want to post your pens, it does post, but for me, I have written with this pen so much unposted, it's just absolutely wonderful. And that's the basics of the Benu Tribute Darwin edition. There's also the Mercury edition of this same pen, which is rather nice as well, but this sort of color combinations of the greens and the ambers and things really called out to me. Okay, size comparison, standard Lamy Safari, and then the Benu Euphoria model. This is one of the hand-painted autograph editions, which is lovely. But the Euphoria model has long been one of my favorite pen models from Benu, like the size and the scale of it, dimensions, all that. You can see it's not dissimilar there to the Tribute. Both are girthy pens, both have relatively sort of, you know, long tapered barrels. So not dissimilar, but different enough to be interesting. Yeah, similar sort of size, both longer there than the Lamy Safari. Uncapped, once again, the dimensions are fairly similar. Once again, longer than the Safari. You see that they use a very similar section. And like many Benu pens, if you so wish, you can actually swap the sections. So what Benu do is they have a standard sort of size grip section that fits the nib and feed and all of that and the converter. And they make other barrel sizes around it, which you know, is a great way of them sort of making sure that things work and are comfortable. But yeah, you can if you wanted to, swap them over. The Tribute does post slightly shorter than the Euphoria model, which I think is an advantage. I think that they post very, very long. So yes, it does post, but quite long. So before we see this pen in action, if the ink doesn't run out, let's talk about dimensions. So it's 150 millimeters when it is capped. It's 140 when it's uncapped. So that's as long as a lot of pens are capped. It's a nice sort of size in the hand, and it's 179 when it's posted. So as I said, relatively long. The middle of the grip section is like 9.5 to 10 millimeters, so it's okay. It's just a little slim in comparison to the pen size though. And around the widest point of the cap is about 17 millimeters. The pen weighs 29 grams. And as I said, half the pen's weight is in the cap. Actually more. 14 grams in the pen, 15 grams in the cap. Now, obviously, if the pen is fully inked, you're going to maybe get a bit more weight in the pen body, but it's not going to displace it so much to sort of stop the back weighting there. So 14 grams, 15-ish in the hand, very, very comfortable. Okay, let's see this beautiful pen right. We have the Benu Tribute, and this is the Darwin model. This is the number 6 Schmidt medium nib, and the ink is SBRE Brown. Beautiful ink, great match for this pen as it was for the Tessera in, I think it was last month when I reviewed that. Let's do some writing. You can hear more feedback than the pen is actually giving. The camera microphone does pick that up quite a lot, but it is exceptionally smooth and quite wet, really. These Schmidt nibs recently, particularly the ones from Benu, have been so great. Reverse writing, very, very doable. For a few words if you needed to. Flex, look, yeah. You can squeeze a tiny bit of line variation out. There's like a slight bounce in the nib, but please be gentle. Quick writing. I don't know about you, but that that looks pretty darn good to me. And it writes very effortlessly, well, if the nib's on the page, under its own body weight. So there's a reason why, there's a few reasons why, and I'll come back to them in the pros and cons, why this pen is fast becoming a favorite Benu of mine. Firstly, look at how that nib writes. It's a nice, generous, medium nib on the broader end of medium, which I quite like. I love this color scheme. The teals and the ambers and things like that really appeal. It's a little bit flashy for me, maybe, and it's not necessarily the sort of pen I would take into perhaps a professional meeting. You know, I've got pens like the, Aurora Optima or the Custom 823 from Pilot that are probably more likely to come into a meeting with me, but there's something about writing with this pen and journaling with this pen that I have really, really enjoyed. Obviously, I've, it's almost written dry here. It's amazing we got through that much of the reviews. A couple of drops left in the converter there, and obviously what is left in the feed. So it writes nice and wet. It's a nice size in the hand. As I said, those threads are beautiful, but let's talk more about that in the pros and cons. Let's talk business. What does this pen cost? On the Benu website, it is listed at $210 US. Not inexpensive for a resin pen with a steel nib cartridge converter. Not inexpensive, but it is a somewhat limited edition from Benu. It's not one of their sort of, just standard out there pen runs. It's one of their fancier ones, and I think the material looks a little bit more luxurious. Is it worth the money? Well, it writes absolutely beautifully. They are unique pen designs. They are unique materials. There are other brands that do colorful, bright materials and glitters and things like that, but Benu have kind of made it their signature. And while, there are a number of pens that are coming into their lineup that are a little bit more, shall we say, mature or, professional, there's nothing wrong with having a pen with a bit of life and color in your collection. So at $210 US, I think it is, as with Benu, sort of like their standard upper price point. But I tell you what, you would be hard pressed to find many better writers, even with gold nibs, than this pen, with those details of the finishing and all that kind of stuff. I think you are getting bang for your buck with this pen. So what are the pros and cons? Okay, my only con is the posted balance and the look of that pen posted. To me, it doesn't look balanced to me, and it doesn't feel balanced. And even though the grip is still around that 1 millimeter sort of area, which is quite comfortable, because there's so much weight and size behind it, it feels a little bit narrow in your hand. Unposted, brilliant. So let's talk pros. Firstly, the size. I love the size of this pen. When it's capped and it's sitting on your desk on a nice pen stand, let's use this Galen leather, pen stand for a second. Absolutely beautiful. It looks lovely on the desk. I, also keep it in things like the Toko Craft tray I have here. And it looks great. It's beautiful. What a great color scheme. It's really, really lovely. So it's a nice size. It's a nice look. I think the material is beautiful. I love the amber sort of colors there, the browns, the sort of the rosy color in that gold sort of ties it in. It's almost bronze-like in a way, and ties it in beautifully with the, those sort of earthier teals. They are quite chatoyant, and, it's just a really attractive material. The nib, outstanding. Smooth, reliable, not had a problem with it, no hard starts. Benu really are doing great things with how their pens actually write. I've reviewed a number of these now, 10 or something. None of them have written badly. Some have written amazingly. This one writes amazingly, but none of them have written badly, which is great. A couple of other things. I love those threads. As I said, there's a warmth to the threads. It's lovely. There's a tactile warmth to the pen. It's just wonderful. So really, really great. All of that combines into a sense of luxury with this pen. And yes, it is only a steel nib, it's cartridge converter. But there's a luxurious feel and look to this pen that speaks to the personality of the pen. That's another thing I love. I love these color combinations. I love how the pen writes. I love how the pen sits in my hand. Darwin, as an avid journaler and notebooker myself, you know, I've looked at the notebooks of Darwin. I find it fascinating. I find the history of it fascinating. You know, the science of what he did fascinating. So, you know, it's so many things have brought me to this pen, and I really enjoy it. So yes, I find it hard to fault this pen, other than the fact that, like, if you post it, it looks a bit weird and feels a bit funny. Because as a writer, particularly unposted, I honestly don't think I have many better pens in my collection. So I hope you found that video about the Benu Tribute pen, and this is the Darwin edition, to be interesting and useful. It's certainly not going to be everyone's taste. I love it, and I think it's got a lot going for it that a lot of people are really, really going to like. So once again, a big thank you to Benu for providing this for me to show you today. So yes, like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, and please consider becoming a member of this channel. It all helps all of this keep going. So enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.